Okay, let's just dive right into this. I want you to picture a scenario. Because if you're the CEO or founder of a growing AI or a SaaS company, you've almost certainly experienced this exact heart-stopping moment. You've been working a massive enterprise deal for months, right? It's the kind of logo that literally changes the trajectory of your entire year. Your sales team is absolutely buzzing. They've finally landed that crucial executive meeting. You get in the room or, on the Zoom call, and your team completely nails the product demo. The client loves the features, they're seeing the ROI, everyone is nodding along, the energy is just fantastic. And the momentum just keeps building. Procurement looks at the pricing. They give a thumbs up. Your legal team and their legal team exchange red lines, and incredibly, they sign off without a hitch. You can practically taste that closed-won notification. You're thinking, okay, this deal is going to close in 2 weeks tops. And then, bam, a totally unceremonious email lands in your inbox. Attached is an Excel spreadsheet with 300 brutally detailed security questions. Suddenly, the deal just slams into a brick wall. They're asking about your Information Security Management System, or ISMS. They want to know if you're ISO 27001 certified, how you govern AI models, your third-party risk assessments, incident response processes. And just like that, your projected 2-week close completely evaporates. Honestly, it is completely validating to feel immediate panic here. Most founders have this exact reaction. Where do we even begin? You start Googling competing frameworks, ISO 27001, NIST CSF, SOC 2, ISO 42001, AI governance. It's just a massive alphabet soup of compliance, and you quickly end up totally lost, wondering which one you're actually supposed to pick. But here's the secret we're unpacking in today's explainer. These frameworks are not competitors at all. They're just solving different parts of the exact same problem. Now, to untangle this, we really need to flip the script. We have to look at this from the enterprise buyer's point of view. When an enterprise buys your software, they aren't just buying your cool new features. They're buying risk. Think about it. Every single application they onboard can access sensitive customer information, connect to their internal systems, process regulated data, or introduce supply chain risk. Your software could expose their intellectual property or, worst case, literally become the entry point for their next massive security incident. So, that 300-question spreadsheet, it's not actually there just to make your life miserable, even if it definitely feels that way. It's really the buyer's highly complex way of answering one single fundamental question. Can we trust this company with our data? That's it. And if your answer to that question is scattered across a dozen Google Sheets, random Slack messages, and the tribal knowledge of that one engineer who set up your AWS account, well, every single questionnaire is going to be a massive fire drill. Which brings us to a really critical crossroads. The companies that consistently win these enterprise deals, they don't answer questionnaires from memory, and they definitely don't treat compliance as a reactive copy-paste exercise. Most startups jump straight into a reactive panic. They buy policy templates online, hire an auditor, and start manually filling out spreadsheets just to get a certificate. But what actually works is shifting your mindset entirely to build a true security operating system. To untangle this mess, think of building your company's security program like building a city. You can't just start throwing up buildings randomly. To succeed, you need a map to show you where things go. You need rules to govern how the city operates. And then you need specific buildings for specific functions. The security frameworks you've been Googling, they work exactly the same way. So let's look at the map first. Enter the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, specifically version 2.0. NIST is your city's map. It answers the fundamental question, what capabilities should a cybersecurity program have? It organizes your program into 6 really intuitive business functions: govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Notice that it doesn't dictate exactly which tool to buy or how to write a specific policy. Instead, it gives you an operating model. For a CEO, this is absolute gold because it translates deep technical work into strategic business capabilities. Instead of asking your team, hey, do we have EDR software? You start asking, how well can we detect attacks? Okay, so the crucial point is that if NIST is the what, the map of your city, then ISO 27001 is the how. It's the rules of your city. ISO 27001 is a management system. It answers how an organization should manage information security consistently over time. It brings in concepts like leadership accountability, risk management, internal audits, and continual improvement. Basically, it ensures that your security program actually survives and functions, even if your most motivated security engineer leaves the company. It's the governance that makes the map real. But wait, what if you're building an AI product? Well, security alone just isn't enough anymore. Buyers are terrified of automated decisions going wrong. They want to know, how do you prevent model misuse? How do you detect model drift? What actually happens when the AI produces a harmful output? And that is exactly where ISO 42001 comes in. It's a management system just like 27001, but it's focused squarely on responsible AI governance. It mandates an AI inventory, risk assessments, data quality checks, and human oversight. If AI is core to your software, buyers are increasingly expecting these specific capabilities. When you view these frameworks side by side, you see they don't compete at all. They stack perfectly in layers. You start with NIST CSF as your operating model to define the security capabilities you need. Then, you layer on ISO 27001 as your management system to build governance, accountability, and continual improvement around those capabilities. Finally, if you use AI, you add the ISO 42001 layer to extend that management system for AI-specific risks. It's a single, scalable city, the whole shebang. Now here is a massive trap I desperately want you to avoid. Many startups figure out this stock, but then they just try to buy their way to the finish line. They buy templates, they collect manual evidence for a few weeks, and 6 months later, they've got a binder full of documentation, but zero operational capability. And guess what? The next 300-question questionnaire they receive is just as painful as the first one. Why? Because compliance documents don't automatically create operational maturity. A piece of paper doesn't secure a server. So how do we actually fix this? We use a 4-step execution playbook. Instead of treating compliance as some annoying side project, you treat security as a core operating system. Step 1, use NIST CSF to build your operating model so every security initiative has a clear purpose. Step 2, implement governance with ISO 27001 so security is baked into how the company operates daily. Step 3, layer on ISO 42001 to govern your AI operations. And finally, step 4, which is the absolute game changer here, automate your evidence. Let's zoom in on step 4 for a second, because this is where companies leave enormous value on the table. Instead of having your engineers manually gather screenshots every single quarter to prove you're secure, you need to continuously pull evidence from the systems you already use. Connect your compliance tracking directly to your identity providers, your cloud platforms, your CI/CD pipelines, and ticketing systems. When evidence is continuously collected in the background, answering that massive security questionnaire suddenly becomes dramatically faster and completely painless. And this leads us to the ultimate truth of enterprise sales. Look, certification can be valuable. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, enterprise customers are really just trying to find out if they can trust you. And trust comes from consistent operations. It doesn't come from PDFs. It doesn't come from binders full of policies, and it certainly doesn't come from a certificate hanging on your office wall. It comes from proving you actually know what assets you own, who has access to them, how risks are managed, and how you continuously monitor your environment. So the next time you're staring down a massive security review, don't ask yourself which framework you should blindly implement first. That's the wrong question entirely. The question you should be asking yourself and your leadership team is this: how do we build a security operating system that grows with our company and completely removes friction from enterprise sales? When you use NIST and ISO together to transform security from a reactive chore into a strategic business capability, you don't just survive security reviews. You shorten them, you build immense customer trust, and you close those massive enterprise deals with total confidence.